हेलो फ्रेंड्स, वेलकम टू मनु लॉ क्लासेस। मेरा नाम गौतम दीक्षित है। इन टुडेज वीडियो वी आर गोइंग टू डिस्कस द डेली हिंदू एनालिसिस ऑफ अक्टूबर 25th 2021. You can access our daily Hindu analysis video on the Manu Law Classes YouTube channel. So आज के न्यूज़ की तरफ बढ़ते हैं। Some of the important news which are coming are from China, then Central Asian countries, then Financial Action Task Force, then about COVID vaccine, COVAX, Gavi, SEBI, and then at the Foreign Affairs page we will know about Belt and Road Initiative of China, what it aims and what is the difference between belt and road in this term. So let's start with the news. The first news is China's new law formalizes its LAC action. चाइना के लेजिस्लेचर ने एक नया लॉ पास किया है, बॉर्डर लॉ. इट विल टेक इफेक्ट फ्रॉम जनवरी 1st. नाउ दिस लॉ कॉल्स ऑन द स्टेट एंड मिलिट्री, मतलब ये स्टेट और मिलिट्री को अथॉरिटी देता है टू सेफ गार्ड द टेरिटरी एंड कॉम्बैट एनी एक्ट दैट अंडरमाइन चाइनाज टेरिटोरियल क्लेम. जैसे कि LAC है, लाइन ऑफ एक्चुअल कंट्रोल. सो इंडिया एंड चाइना दे हैव डिफरेंट परसेप्शंस ऑफ LAC. So China thinks that the LAC is only 2000 kilometer and there are certain disputed areas like तवांग है अरुणाचल प्रदेश में, 12 होती है उत्तराखंड में, then दर्फांग and देमचोक areas are also there जहाँ पे dispute चल रहा है. So China according to China these are the all part of China, and if any country tries to undermine that China's border claim, then state and military they will safeguard the territory and they will take all efforts to combat such act. Okay, now what is the importance of this law? तो ये लॉ जो है दो बैकग्राउंड में आ रहा है. द फर्स्ट बैकग्राउंड ये है कि द 13th कमांडर लेवल टॉक बिटवीन इंडिया एंड चाइना फॉर डिसएंगेजमेंट एट हॉट स्प्रिंग और पेट्रोलिंग पॉइंट 15 वॉज एंडेड इन इम्पास. द सेकेंड इज चाइना और भूटान ने 3 स्टेप एग्रीमेंट साइन किया है टू रिजॉल्व देयर बॉर्डर डिस्प्यूट, एंड आफ्टर दैट दिस लॉ हैज कम. द नेक्स्ट इंपॉर्टेंट न्यूज, the visit of Amit Shah, our Union Home Minister, to J&K, where he has highlighted some of the recent steps taken by this government. So after the abrogation of Article 370 in 2019 by the presidential order, and the second by passing of J&K Reorganization Act, which converted Jammu and Kashmir into 2 union territory, one Jammu and Kashmir and the second one was Ladakh. Sri Manoj Sinha is the Lieutenant Governor of Jammu and Kashmir and Sri Radha Krishna Mathur is the LG of Ladakh. Now some of the important development. तो यहाँ पे पहला है about the political development where our home minister says that after 70 years it was for the first time that local elections was held for the post of Sarpanch and Panch for Tehsil and Jila level elections. The second is rise in investment and passing of new industrial policy which has seen new investment coming in Jammu and Kashmir which will provide employment and development in the region. अभी तक 12,000 करोड़ का इन्वेस्टमेंट हो चुका है और 51,000 करोड़ का इन्वेस्टमेंट एक्सपेक्टेड है बाय 2022. थर्ड इज अबाउट द किलिंग ऑफ पीपल. तो हमारे होम मिनिस्टर एक फैक्ट प्रेजेंट करते हैं कि between 2004 and 2014 a total of 200 people were killed per year. That is 2081 people lost their life between this 10 years. अगर हम 2014 से 2021 की बात करें then only 239 people have lost their lives. Then the fourth point, he describes that the abrogation of Article 370 in 2019 was in a step to achieve the dream of leaders like Prem Nath Dogra and Shama Prasad Mukherjee. इनके ड्रीम क्या थे? एक स्लोगन है जो बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है, एक देश एक विधान एक निशान, दैट इज वन नेशन वन लॉ एंड वन सिंबल. नाउ a related news from Jammu and Kashmir again where Lashkar-e-Taiba operative was gunned down by our security forces. तो हम पिछले दिनों से देख रहे हैं कि civilian killings in Jammu and Kashmir had increased. After that security of personnel they took effort to condemn the area and to eliminate the terrorists or to arrest them. नेशनल इन्वेस्टिगेशन एजेंसी को एक ब्लॉग भी मिला था which was later blocked by Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology. उस ब्लॉग में the terrorists were told to target those people who are planning to invest in Jammu and Kashmir or to start the business in Jammu and Kashmir, or those who have taken the job in the Jammu and Kashmir government and they are not local resident. And the last one is targeting the non-local laborers. Now the next news is Netherlands keen on naval liaison officer. So Netherlands जो है, it is a country of Europe. It is interested in posting a liaison officer at Navy's Information Fusion Center in the Indian Ocean region for maritime domain awareness and information sharing. Maritime domain awareness and information sharing एक ऐसा प्लेटफॉर्म होता है जहाँ पे सिक्योरिटी रिलेटेड जो इश्यूज होते हैं उसे स्टडी किया जाता है और उन्हें न्यूट्रलाइज किया जाता है. सो द मैरीटाइम डोमेन अवेयरनेस एंड इंफॉर्मेशन शेयरिंग जो है दैट इज ऑपरेटेड बाय नेवीज इंफॉर्मेशन फ्यूजन सेंटर फॉर इंडियन ओशियन रीजन. देन यहाँ पे क्वाड मालाबार एक्सरसाइज के बारे में इंफॉर्मेशन है दैट the first phase of the Malabar naval exercise was held in Guam, which is in Pacific Ocean, and the second phase was carried out in Bay of Bengal. Japan, Australia, US and India, they participate in the Malabar naval exercise. Along with that, India also carried out a passage exercise with Britain, where the UK carrier strike group led by Queen Elizabeth, that is a British carrier, it also participated. Then Netherlands HNLMS Everson, it was also the part of this carrier strike group. Now the edible oil prices, if we see the inflation figure of edible oil prices, so retail inflation in edible oil and fat is very high currently. It is 34.2% in September, and though the food inflation has cooled off, and if we see the overall inflation, it is 4.2% and food price inflation is 0.68%, but prices of edible oil is still very high because the first is that India imports around 60% of its edible oil requirement. Second, the international prices of edible oil has increased because of growing demand in the international market. Third, in India is currently witnessing a festive season where the demand for edible oil has increased. Now, the Food and Public Distribution Department under the Ministry of Food and Consumer Affairs, it has asked every state government to take steps to ensure that edible oil are available at lower prices in the market. यहाँ पे what the strategy has to be adopted. So, a stock disclosure notification has been issued. Okay, there will be a web portal created which will monitor the stock of edible oil and oil seeds on a weekly basis. तो इसका इम्पोर्टेंस क्या होगा? इसका इम्पोर्टेंस होगा कि कोई भी एक्स्ट्रा स्टॉक होल्डिंग नहीं कर पाएगा एडिबल ऑयल का. नॉर्मली क्या होता है कि व्हेन प्राइसेस दे स्टार्ट इंक्रीजिंग देन ट्रेडर्स दे स्टॉक होल्ड द इम्पोर्टेंट कमोडिटीज़ जिसका प्राइस बढ़ रहा है. तो इससे क्या होता है कि मार्केट में स्कैर्सिटी क्रिएट हो जाती है उस गुड की और उसकी प्राइस और ज़्यादा हो जाती है. तो ये मैनिपुलेशन की वजह से क्या होता है कि कंज्यूमर का इंटरेस्ट हार्म होता है. So that's why the government is interested in tracking online tracking of edible oil. Now, what steps have been taken by the government to lower the prices of edible oil? तो ये last paragraph में है that earlier this month means October, Union government decreased the import duty and agriculture infrastructure and development cess which was levied on crude palm, soya bean and sunflower seed oils. What is the name of that mission which government has launched to increase the production of edible oil in the country? Please write me in the comment box. Now here there is a news from Punjab where Punjab has created an online monitoring system to check the illicit distillation and smuggling of liquor. Is जो ऑनलाइन ऑपरेशन का नाम है ऑपरेशन रेड रोज. सो ऑपरेशन रेड रोज वॉज स्टार्टेड बाय पंजाब एक्साइज डिपार्टमेंट इन 2020. इस रेड रोज में ये एक वेब पोर्टल है विच ट्रैक्स द प्रोडक्शन, डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन एंड सेल ऑफ लिकर इन द कंट्री इन द स्टेट. नाउ फ्रॉम असम, indigenous Muslims in northern Assam's Darang, now they are fearing that they will be evicted from their land after the migrant Bengali Muslims last month were evicted from the banks of Brahmaputra. तो ये दरांग एरिया में जो इशू है ये असम का एक आप कह सकते हैं कि फॉल्ट लाइन है. वहाँ पे धालपुर एरिया में पिछली बार एविक्शन ड्राइव हुआ था जिसमें 2 लोगों की मौत हो गई थी. नाउ in the indigenous Muslims of northern Assam, now they are fearing that now they can be evicted from their land. In this news, we have a interview expert of Maria Ressa. So Maria Ressa, she is a journalist from Philippines and she is one of the 2 winners of Nobel Peace Prize for 2021. The other winner is from Russia, Dmitry Maratov. Now, in this article, uh, Maria Ressa is discussing that how the technology has changed the democracy in the world. She is also writing a book which is named as How to Stand Up to a Dictator, and she says that the big tech social media companies, they have led to they have not actually expanded the freedom of speech, but in fact they have expanded the freedom of reach, where government can target the prominent journalists, social activists, and we are seeing this thing throughout the world. The next news is about India's vaccine pace, where Anuradha Gupta, who is the deputy CEO of Gavi, she has appreciated the India's vaccination journey, and she has said that the least developed countries and other developing countries can draw the inspiration from India's achievement. Over here, some of the facts are important. The first one is that what is Gavi? So if we just see Gavi, it is a global alliance on vaccine immunization. It is one of the founding member of COVAX. So COVAX is a global facility for ensuring COVID-19 vaccine availability in all the country. So along with Gavi, WHO, World Health Organization, and CEPI, they are also the partner in COVAX. So India recently achieved a milestone of 100 crore vaccination in last week, and she has said that it is because of CoWIN portal, which has ensured that in a short number of time so much people were vaccinated. The next is PM's museum likely to miss deadline. So Prime Minister Museum, which is being constructed on the Trimurti Bhavan premises, again it is going to miss its deadline. It was expected to be completed by October 2021, but it may take a longer time. Now other days which are being selected for its completion, it will be some prominent day. One of the day which is coming is December 25. So December 25 is the birthday of Atal Bihari Vajpayee, and it is also celebrated as Good Governance Day in India. Climate vulnerable nations will go to COP26 with a view to restructuring their debt. So over here, the parliamentary speaker of Maldives, Mohammad Nasheed, he has said that the climate change negotiation should also focus on island countries, because they are the one who will first face the heat of global warming. And one of the outcome, he says, is that one of the outcome of the global warming can be that there can be a series of default on debt by different countries. Now why he says that? He says because that he says that out of the 48 CVF, what is CVF? Climate Vulnerable Forum. It is the group of 48 countries who can be damaged by the global warming and rising sea level. India has an observer status as CVF. He says that the 48 CVF countries who are particularly vulnerable to climate change, that 20% of their budget consists of debt repayment and another 30% goes on adaptation. So around 50% of their budget is going for protecting themselves from climate change. And if the world does not take enough steps to restrict the global rise of temperature at 1.5 degrees Celsius, then there can be series of default on debt. The next news is from Taliban. Taliban has come up with a solution for providing employment. So it is offering a job for wheat to tackle hunger. Means it will not pay money to the laborer who will enroll for the job, but they will be given wheat. So it will ensure two things for Afghanistan: one, to tackle hunger; second, to tackle unemployment. The next is Adani to meet Gotabaya in Colombo today. So over here हमारे एग्जाम पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से जो कुछ इंपॉर्टेंट इंफॉर्मेशन है हम उस पर फोकस करते हैं. So there is one terminal container terminal that is called as West Container Terminal at the Colombo port. This West Container Terminal is being developed by the Adani Group in collaboration with John Keells Holdings and Sri Lanka Port Authority. Earlier, Japan and India and Sri Lanka, they had a trilateral agreement to develop East Coast Terminal, but due to domestic pressure and strikes, this project was scrapped and India was given to develop West Container Terminal. The next is US sabotaging the CPEC with India's support. So the chief of the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor Authority has accused US of sabotaging or derailing the $1 million project. Now, what is this CPEC? The full form of CPEC is China-Pakistan Economic Corridor. It connects the northwest region of China with Gwadar port in Pakistan. It is one of the part of Belt and Road Initiative of China. The Belt and Road Initiative of China, which aims to invest heavily in about 70 countries. It aims to connect the Asia, Eurasia, Africa and Europe through Belt and Road Initiative. Now, what is Belt over here? Belt का यहाँ पे मतलब होता है overland connectivity. Road का मतलब होता है maritime connectivity. So that is called as China's Belt and Road Initiative. Now in editorial, the first is Financial Action Task Force. So what is Financial Action Task Force? So it is an intergovernmental organization established in 1989 to develop mechanism to check money laundering. In 2001 इसका mandate बढ़ा दिया गया था to also include terror financing. There are 39 members in this group. It is located in Paris, France, and it has two type of list. One is black list, the next is grey list. So in grey list, Pakistan name has been there. Turkey has also been included in the grey list. Mauritius was earlier there in the grey list, but Mauritius has been removed from this grey list. Now if we see that why Pakistan has been retained in grey list, so Pakistan has achieved 30 out of 34 tasks. Pakistan has completed the 30 tasks which was given to it by Financial Action Task Force. ये जो task होता है, it is related to strengthening the law against money laundering and terror financing. So पाकिस्तान ने out of 30 tasks achieve कर लिए हैं, but पाकिस्तान ने एक इम्पॉर्टेंट टास्क जो नहीं अचीव किया है वो है कि दैट पाकिस्तान हैज़ नॉट डिमॉन्स्ट्रेटेड एनी इफेक्टिव इन्वेस्टिगेशन एंड प्रोसिक्यूशन ऑफ दोज लीडर्स ऑफ दोज टेरर ग्रुप्स विच आर डेजिग्नेटेड एज द टेररिस्ट ग्रुप बाय यूनाइटेड नेशंस. सम ऑफ देम आर जैश-ए-मोहम्मद चीफ मसूद अजहर, लश्कर-ए-तैयबा चीफ हफीज सईद एंड दाऊद इब्राहिम. So this terrorist people, they have not been effectively prosecuted by Pakistan, and this is the main reason that why Pakistan has been held in grey list. उसके बाद यहाँ पे जो पाकिस्तान का ग्रे लिस्ट में होना है, पाकिस्तान को ब्लैक लिस्ट में मूव नहीं किया गया. So but there is a danger over here. That danger is that now the Taliban has taken over the Afghanistan, so there are many terrorist groups which can expand their terror networks and they can easily become a transnational terror groups. Many terrorist groups, they can they can choose Afghanistan for the building a new safe haven and financing network. So this can impose a problem in the region. That's why it is very necessary that Pakistan should act swiftly on these terror groups and their leaders. The next article is about mitigating a crisis. So at least 120 countries are going to participate in the 26th meeting of the United Nations Conference of the Parties in Glasgow. It is going to be a 2-week long exercise which was disrupted because of COVID-19. यहाँ पे जो सबसे ज़्यादा इम्पोर्टेंट होगा कि यहाँ पे the review is going to take place of the actions which have been undertaken by the country for voluntarily reducing the greenhouse gas emissions according to the Paris Agreement of 2015. So Paris Agreement 2015 में most of the countries had given a voluntary targets for climate action. तो उसको हम कहते हैं NDC, Nationally Determined Contributions, NDC. तो इस 5-6 सालों में हर कंट्रीज़ ने कितना उसे अचीव किया है, will we be able to achieve it by 2030, वो यहाँ पे रिव्यू होने वाला है. Now the next paragraph focus on कि IPCC की एक रिपोर्ट आई थी, that is called as assessment report, sixth assessment report of IPCC. So over here it was said that world should adopt the deep emission cuts so that the global warming is restricted to 1.5 degree Celsius. Now we need to cut at least 45% of our emission from 2000 levels by 2030. If you see that India and China, who are the major emitters of the world, they have not given any commitment on net zero emission of by 2050. Most of the countries like US, UK, European Union, they have given the commitment that they will achieve net zero emission by 2030, but India ने अभी ऐसा कमिटमेंट नहीं किया है. हमने आगे भी इसके बारे में पढ़ा था कि वाई इंडिया इज़ नॉट गिविंग एनी कमिटमेंट, जस्ट बिकॉज कि इंडिया का जो 450 गीगावाट एनर्जी टारगेट है बाय 2030, इंडिया उसे अचीव करना चाहता है. सेकेंड, नेट ज़ीरो टारगेट के लिए डेवलपिंग कंट्री लाइक इंडिया, दे विल नीड फाइनेंस फ्रॉम डेवलप्ड कंट्री, एंड डेवलप्ड कंट्री ने अभी भी अडेप्टेशन के लिए कोई फंड, जितना पेरिस एग्रीमेंट में एग्री हुआ था, दैट प्रोवाइडिंग $100 बिलियन फंड एनुअली फॉर अडेप्टेशन एंड मिटिगेशन, दे हैव फेल्ड ऑन दैट प्रॉमिस. नाउ द नेक्स्ट आर्टिकल इज अगेन अबाउट द 26th UN क्लाइमेट चेंज कॉन्फ्रेंस ऑफ द पार्टी. यहाँ पे जो है ऑथर्स के मैं इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट डिस्कस करता हूँ. The author is saying that if we look at the sixth assessment report of the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, so we will see that the report says that if we want to restrict the global rise of temperature at 1.5 degrees Celsius, the global emission should be reduced by 50%. कब तक? By 2030. कितने लेवल से? From 2010 levels. ओके, अगर हम 2050 तक नेट ज़ीरो बनना चाहते हैं. बट यहाँ पे जो सारा फोकस है वो इस पे ना होके नेट ज़ीरो एमिशन पे आ गया है. तो इसके वजह से इसमें डिसएडवांटेजियस साइड पे कौन है? द डेवलपिंग कंट्रीज लाइक इंडिया. वाई? बिकॉज इफ़ वी ओनली टारगेट दैट वी हैव टू अचीव नेट ज़ीरो एमिशन बाय 2050, एंड इफ़ वी डोंट टारगेट दैट वी हैव टू टेक डीप एमिशन कट ऑफ 45% by 2030, so we are flouting the very important climate principle that is called as CBDR, कॉमन बट डिफ्रेंशिएटेड रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी. मतलब क्लाइमेट चेंज को रोकने के लिए सभी का रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है, बट अकॉर्डिंग टू द कैपेसिटी. डेवलप्ड कंट्री का ज़्यादा है और डेवलपिंग कंट्री का उनके फाइनेंस के हिसाब से, उनके डेवलपमेंट के हिसाब से है. ओके, अगर हम ये देखें दैट CBDR के हिसाब से अगर हम देखें, देन डेवलप्ड कंट्री शुड डू मोर and they should reach the net zero emission not by 2050 but by 2035-40, and developing country can reach there later. After that, if we will just see कि यहाँ पे report के accordingly there is a deep emission cut requirement of 45%, but some of the countries which the 113 countries, they have updated their NDC, and it shows that according to that plan only 16.3% of the emission cut will be achieved, which is far below from the 45%. But there are some countries which have taken the deeper emission cut target. They are UK and European Union. They are promising 68 to 65% of deep emission cut compared with 1990 levels by 2030. But US is talking about net zero emission, but US ने इसके लिए अभी तक कोई commitment नहीं दिया है. Now what to be happen at COP26? So COP26 must focus sharply on reducing the emission till 2030 rather than on net zero emission target of 2050, because if COP does not focus on having a deep emission cut of 45%, then we cannot limit the temperature rise to 1.5 degree Celsius. Then some of the suffering countries will be, जैसे कि हमने फॉरेन पेज पे पढ़ा, Maldives, least developed countries, island countries, they will be small island states, they will be badly hit. Then what India can do? So over here India can So what if India can do? So India can pledge of reducing the emission intensity to 38 to 40%. अभी जो इंडिया का टारगेट है एमिशन इंटेंसिटी का, दैट इज 33 to 35%, उसे थोड़ा सा बढ़ा के 38 to 40% उसे किया जा सकता है. द सेकेंड इज दैट इंडिया कैन अचीव द net zero emission by 2070 to 75. Then India can also convert its ambition of installing 450 gigawatt of renewable energy by 2030, adding green hydrogen and increasing the electric vehicle. India can do more on that front to achieve its NDC target. So over here, in short, the author is saying कि net zero emission target से ज़्यादा important है that by 2030 हमें 45% emission cut करने होंगे by 2030 based on 2010 level. The second is that he is highlighting that what India can take steps. तो इंडिया का जो emission target है 33 to 35% उसे बढ़ा के 38 to 40% कर सकता है, and then it can give the net zero emission target to 2070-75. The third what India can do is that India can work swiftly on installing its 450 gigawatt of renewable energy, then adding green hydrogen and increasing the electric vehicles. The next article is about India's Central Asian outreach. Central Asia are those countries which were formerly the part of USSR, but after 1991 they broke up from USSR and they became the independent countries. Central Asian countries are Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Turkmenistan, Tajikistan, Uzbekistan. Now the location of this Central Asian country is very important. They are very important source of energy supply. So that's why the relationship with India is very important, because India is net energy consumer country and they are energy supplier. So after 1991 India set up the relationship with Central Asian republics. So they signed the strategic partnership agreement with Kazakhstan, Tajikistan and Uzbekistan, and to stimulate defense cooperation and trade relations. Then in 2012 India announced its Central Asia policy for furthering the for promoting India's political, economic, historical and cultural connection with the country. But there was some problem. Why? Because अगर हम देखेंगे सेंट्रल एशिया और इंडिया के बीच में अफगानिस्तान, पाकिस्तान जैसे कंट्री आते हैं, तो पाकिस्तान इज़ नॉट वेरी कंफर्टेबल विद इंक्रीजिंग इंडियाज आउटरीच इन सेंट्रल एशिया. तो इसको बाईपास करने के लिए इंडिया इज डेवलपिंग छाबार पोर्ट इन ईरान, विच विल प्रोवाइड इट डायरेक्ट एक्सेस टू Central Asian countries. Now the second thing is that why Central Asian countries are interested in having deep relations with India. So the reason is that because of the growing Chinese influence in the region, and they want to diversify their market. So and that's why they want more engagement with India. Over here अगर हम कुछ एग्जाम पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से बात करें तो हम इसमें मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ एक्सटर्नल अफेयर्स के विजिट की बात हुई है. उन्होंने he is the first external affairs minister of India to visit Armenia, and where he talked about Nagorno-Karabakh conflict. So the Nagorno-Karabakh conflict ये दो कंट्री के बीच में है, अजरबैजान एंड Armenia, and our minister of external affairs has urged both the country to resolve this dispute peacefully under the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe's Minsk group. Now this article is about the rice. So we will see that it has been said that about 500 tons of broken rice which was imported from India, and it was imported by a French manufacturer. Now it has been reported by European Union that it was genetically modified, though India has said that India does not export genetically modified rice. So अब यहाँ पे जो है अगर हम राइस का अगर एक देखें कि इसके वजह से जो एक्सपोर्ट ऑफ राइस पे थोड़ा सा हर्ट हो सकता है. तो इफ़ यू विल सी दैट इंडिया इज़ अ बिगेस्ट एक्सपोर्टर ऑफ राइस ग्लोबली, एंड 30% ऑफ द राइस एक्सपोर्ट इज़ फ्रॉम इंडिया. एंड अगर हम उसमें से देखेंगे कि लेस देन 5% ऑफ द राइस इज़ एक्सपोर्टेड टू यूरोपियन यूनियन, बट इंडिया इज़ अ प्राइमरी सप्लायर ऑफ राइस टू दिस यूरोपियन कंट्रीज. So that's all for today. We will meet tomorrow again with the Daily Hindu News analysis. Till then, Have a nice day. Take care. Thank you.